Hi everyone and welcome back. I've got an Abus EC75, the 7530 version of it. There's 5 pin stacks and 3 passive pins in this one. Oops. Key works. Let's get this in the vise. Tensioner. I'm using a Multipick number 11. Yeah. And picking off this little warding groove in the side of the keyway. Alright. One is loose. 2 feels springy, but I'm also getting some counter rotation at the end of it there. Little click from it. 3 is loose. 4 is loose. 5 is loose. Let's go back to 1. One is loose. Oh, 2 we didn't push down all the way. There we go. 3 is binding. A little click from it. Back in the false set. 4 is binding. I got it. Oh, something's... I think the passive pins are pushing on that. There we go. There, I think that was 4 or 3. I've lost count. Where are we? Pin 5 is binding. Get some counter rotation. And a click. There, and it's open, but my pick is stuck. There we go. Now, normally, the EC75 is an unguttable lock, but I've grubbed this one. So let's have a look at the insides. Tweezer has some short springs. And there's a spool. See that? It's kind of a asymmetric spool. The top shoulder there is much thinner than the bottom one. There we go. And the keypin. This keypin has some shallow spooling on it, like a torpedo. A little bit of an overset trap. There we go. Spring. Another spool. And a standard key pin. Another spool. And a standard keypin. Another spool. And this keypin has an interesting cut on the top, kind of a stepped. You can see that almost like a very short, I don't know what you call it, kind of like a T-pin, I guess, but on a keypin. I don't know, you call it a graduated keypin, I guess. I don't know. And in 5, we have another spool and a standard keypin. So this last grub screw holds in the rod that secures the plug in place. And we'll take the plug out so we can see the passive pins and the groove in the lock body that those pins would slide into if the wrong key is inserted. Speaking of key, coming out. Oh, there we go. So there's the rod. It's just a length of brass rod. Nothing special about it. I'll flip this around. Now, let's see if I can. Oh, I'm gonna lock this up again so that the pawls don't get misaligned. And then we'll get the passive pins out. So there's passive pins in 1, 5, and 6. 6 chambers for passive pin cuts, and you can see the cuts in the key. Sorry, I don't know if that was in frame or not. Here. You can see those passives and how they align with the key. So they're actually staggered. The holes for the passive pins are in a staggered position. You know, let me get these out. 1, 5, and 6. So you can see here how close this one is to the lip of the plug. And if we rotate around to the main pins, you can see how this one is set back. So the passive pins will extend into the keyway and sit between the main pin stacks, which is what makes getting the pick in a little bit difficult sometimes, particularly when you get close to the end where it's almost picked and the plug is rotated sufficiently that some of those passive pins push up into or up against the inside of the cylinder, where they can't fall into, or they can't extend rather, into this groove. So they get kind of pushed up against this lower section and they won't go anywhere. I don't know if you can see that very well. You can kind of see that groove there. And then inside, you can see the spring-loaded locking pawls that push out against the shackle. Let's get a close-up of the pins. I'm going to take the camera out of the mount. Here we go. So, let's take a second to better arrange these. And get a little bit of zoom. There. And you can see the spools, the step cuts on those passive pins, where the narrower diameter section is what extends into the keyway, and this part stays inside the plug and pushes into the groove in the lock body. There's that funny stepped key pin, which I suppose could serve as an overset trap, maybe. And then there's that shallow torpedo key pin. Anyway, that's all there is to it. It's a fun little lock to pick, and it was pretty cool gutting it and grubbing it. I did that for to get pictures for the LPU belt app. And I think that's it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.